Hello, my name is Matthias Cavodi. I'd like to welcome guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about something different. I'm sort of branching out the topics that I'm touching on this channel, and I'm going to keep on doing stuff about comic books. Started doing movie reviews, really bad movie reviews, and another big thing about my life as a nerd is music. When I'm reading comics, I'm always listening to good music. I'm a musician myself. I play the bass. I've been in quite a few bands over the years, and for an excuse just to talk about music, every once in a while I'm going to do these top 10 discography videos. Start off with Marilyn Manson. Uh, he looks like a comic book villain, so it's like a good way to transition and do start off one of these music videos. So we're going to talk about my top 10 favorite Manson albums. And at number 10, we have the very uninspired Born Villain. Came out in 2012, and this is during like this very uninspired era of Marilyn Manson's work. Even though he has two really important or very creative musically people on this album, we have Chris Verena. He's a collaborator with Nine Inch Nails and with A Perfect Circle and a lot of people like that. And Twiggy Ramirez is credited to be one of the main composers on this album. The album Born Villain, it's a little bit heavier compared to what he was doing up until that moment, but it feels just uninspired. As I said before, it lacks teeth. There are moments where the album actually is a chore. Like there's moments where it's just not good. Sadly, very sadly. Big takeaway track for me from this album, the one I really liked at least, is Children of Cain. That's the one I I really dug a lot, and the rest of the album, it just feels it's pretty forgettable. The "You're So Vain" cover, I think it's Carly Simon's song. That one's actually really good. Manson always is able to do some really good covers, and so I found that to be pretty enjoyable. So let's go to number 9, High and Low. Came out in 2009. And this album feels really uninspired. He plays it really safe, especially like compared to things we're going to see further down the line. This album, we have Twiggy Ramirez and Chris Verena collaborating with Mr. Manson. I feel like this album, at least, it sounds better. It's better produced. The drum sound, at least I put down in my notes, the drum sound is killer on this album. But most of it's pretty forgettable. Running to the Edge of the World, like this really big power ballad. It's basic as hell, but it works. It's well written. That's probably the best part of the album, at least for me. And so let's go to number 8. At number 8, I put Heaven Upside Down. Came out in 2017. Here are my notes. I put it starts off sounding like old school Marilyn Manson. I remember when I heard this recently, I thought to myself, okay, he's back. And the rest of the album just doesn't deliver. But it starts off at least on the right foot. You do get at moments a reinvigorated Manson. The guy seems to want to come back, want to be at his full form. What I liked about this album, there's more use of synths. Synths are like back in a big way. Use of samples. The production of the album, it sounds really good in general. There's just too much filler on this album, and it just pretty much runs out of steam at the final stretch. And the videos to this album are really like really dark. Johnny Depp pops up in quite a few of them. Also, at least here in my notes, because I investigating referring to this album a couple months ago, so my memory's a little bit sketchy. But also Courtney Love pops up in these videos, and Lisa Marie Presley, so that's sort of interesting. At number 7, I put From Chaos. Came out in 2020 during smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. And this album actually, Manson's actually really trying. He's really taking a risk. Feels like sort of what he did with Omega and the Mechanical Animals. It's not as good by no means, but this album is a breath of fresh air. Maybe it's the first one of a series of really, really good albums. Try something new. It's really odd. It's really bizarre. It's much lighter. really weird vibe to it that works really well with Mr. Manson. The heavier stuff isn't really good. Like the really good stuff are these weird pop and alternative type of songs. I found it really weird to see Manson actually collaborating with a guy that has more of a background in country music, Shooter Jennings, and the collaboration between these two guys had something pretty interesting come out. But again, the weird thing is the heavy stuff doesn't sound as great, and the more experimental stuff sounds fantastic. It still feels a little bit restrained, like he doesn't go over the deep end. I would have really wished that he would go all out with the odd stuff, but that bizarre vibe is there and it's appreciated. 6, I put Eat Me. I didn't put down the full name of this album. It's Eat Me and Drink Me, I think. But the thing is, it came out in 2007. It's a sort of a really interesting change of direction for Manson. He goes into like a more hard rock vibe. It's really dark and sexy. This is a really good album. Gold is the main collaborator with Mr. Manson on this. He wrote and played most of the instruments. And as a gigantic and colossal fuck you to John Five, Tim Skold gets to play some impressive guitar work, stuff that John Five, who is a really good guitar player who had been playing with Manson, didn't get to do on his albums. So the guitar work on this album is really good. It's not as provocative compared to stuff he was putting out prior to this, or it doesn't sound as dangerous. It's a little bit safer. Manson tries to be like romantic in his own dark and perverse way. This album is a real gem within his discography. I don't know how Manson fans feel about this one. It started really pouring outside, so if you hear like some type of noise outside, it's just raining cats and dogs out. And so number 5, we have Portrait of an American Family. It's Manson's first album, and it's produced by Mr. Trent Reznor. Sorry, there. We have the original Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids band. Well, actually, it already had gone through a couple of changes. We have Trent Reznor, as I said before, Sean Bevan, and Alan Mulder, all collaborating and putting out this pretty interesting album. Marilyn Manson himself, he has a lot to learn within his craft. The band too, especially in the songwriting skills. There's a lot to go and grow there, but they're very provocative, pretty experimental. They go try some really weird shit on this thing. Being a young teen and seeing the Dope Hap video and thinking to myself, oh shit, these guys are messed up. A couple of super Marilyn Manson classics on this one. So that's why it's at number 5. Number 4, we have the fantastic Golden Age of Grotesque. It came out in 2003. This album, I really like it. It's very inspired by the 1920s, 1930s, the Belle Epoque. Joins the band. John Five is also killing it and is really good, even though it does sound safe. But there's more of an electronic influence on this album. And grooves too are a big part of this album. The New Shit, that's a really good song. I really like that one. The title track too sounds like the industrial sound comes back really hard on this album too. It's very present, mixed in with that electronica, as I said before. Last album that Madonna Wayne Gracie is on. He's the keyboard player, which I really loved his input in the album and what Manson did. I feel like he did a lot to build up the Marilyn Manson sound. So, like from this point on, I feel like there's a big change in the band's sound in general. So, Golden Age of Grotesque. To the year 2000s, Hollywood. This is a very dark and angry album. It's one of the best within Marilyn Manson's discography. Like I feel like 1, 2, and 3. They're pretty much tied almost. Like there's very small things that I like one more than the other. Like these top 4 albums. These albums are fantastic from front to back. There's no filler in them. All the tracks I feel like they're pretty memorable. At least I enjoy them a lot. The industrial sound of Manson is very present on this album. That whole situation with the Columbine shootings that I'm not going to get into, but Poor Manson got most of the blame, very unfairly. So he had really big problems touring during this album, but this album, it's fantastic from front to back. Like, I feel like on a creative level, this is like Marilyn Manson and the band's creative zenith. Number two, I put Antichrist Superstar. I guess that a lot of people would put it number one, but I feel like Trent Reznor's influence on this album is very big. It's way what Marilyn Manson's band and Manson did, but I feel like Omega and the Mechanical Animals, I feel like that's a better album. Christ is intense as fuck. It's dark. Companion to Nine Inch Nails' Downward Spiral and Broken. I feel like those three albums can run around together and be a happy, dysfunctional family. When The Beautiful People came out, it was a big deal. That video was on all day on TV. Manson was scaring the fuck out of parents, be it because of his image or what the stuff he would say, because he was super provocative. Every time he opened his mouth, he would scare the shit out of everyone. I love what they did with the keys, with the synths, the samples. The production is insane on this. Child is fantastic. The title track to this album, holy fuck. I've never seen Manson live. Like, I live in Argentina. He came very few times here. He always plays in Buenos Aires. It's pretty far from where I live. But if he ever comes, I want to see him play Beautiful People. I want to see him play Antichrist and Irresponsible Hate Anthem and all that. And if I screw up the names of the songs, I never take the time to learn the names of the songs or the albums. Sorry. It's so at number one, we have Omega and then Mechanical Animals. And what a risky move. Like, he went on a full 180 compared to what he did on Antichrist. He was creative as fuck. Manson wanted to be the one in the spotlight, not sharing it with Trent Reznor, because that's Trent sort of stole Manson's thunder with Antichrist. At least I'm a big Nine Inch Nails fan, that's why. But Omega, damn, the change of sound, it's so good. It feels, it's decadent, it's sexy. There's hopelessness in this album, a sense of loss. It's still very provocative. Instrumentally, very interesting. John Five joins the band during this time. The songwriting takes a real step up on this. Well written, well crafted. They feel they matured in the proper time, and everything's just perfect on this one. So, hope you guys like this video. If I said something wrong or screwed up or said something stupid, just put it in the comments below. I love comic books, I love music, I love movies, and I love series, and everything's a part of my nerd life. So, see you guys next time. Bye.